far as timing and adoption of the 2020 budget, it's recommended that the board consider approving the budget on November 13th, as it needs to be advertised for a minimum of 20 days before it can be adopted by the board. That would put a target date of December 11th for final adoption. And that's all I have as part of my report. Questions?
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. At the audit meeting, I was a little bit confused about the resident versus non-resident earned income tax, and I'm also still a little bit confused, so I would appreciate if you can explain to us the different EIT taxes, because you say in your report we have estimated a 2019 year-end total combined resident EIT of $7,128,500. I'm not sure I know what combined residential EIT is. I know there's a total EIT, which is non-resident plus resident, but what's the combined resident?
Combined is just what you just said. It's resident and non-resident.
So that means a
It's just
total EIT,
right. Total EIT, yes.
non-resident plus resident.
Right.
Okay.
Not including delinquent.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you for that. I mean, there are a few other things, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I just will jump in almost anywhere. Do you have a capital improvement? You said the proposed capital plan is dramatically less than in previous years.
Mm-hmm.
However, I see that you're estimating for year-end $506,316 to be spent on capital improvements. And this year you're recommending for 2020 $531,000 plus, which is an increase in the capital budget. Am I misunderstanding something?
Yes, the year-end projected estimate as of right now is $650,000.
I thought it was.
What page?
I was looking on the budget on. Excuse me. Under the capital budget. On page 2021.
The 506,316.
Yeah.
506,316. That represents. Teresa, could you correct me if I'm wrong, but that represents the estimated expenditures to date.
I thought that was under the year-end estimated column.
Teresa, do you have anything with that? Yeah, we have to, that's something that I'll have to get back to it. We'd have to pull the fund and take a look at it.
Okay, but are there things that you would have wanted to purchase, capital expenses that you are not budgeted here? I mean, there's significant purchases in your budget.
For 2020?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there was several things that we had to pare down. One was an F-350 truck to replace one of the vehicles that is sort of aging in public works. We pared down on another police vehicle. We're trying to maintain that level of funding while still purchasing equipment without going way over the budgeted expenditures.
So basically there's equipment, the police and public works equipment that you're not able to purchase?
Correct. We've excluded them from the proposed budget.
Okay. With regard to the road repairs, you estimated that we need to pay 3.56 miles of road every year to just keep up with where we are, I guess. But before 2017, do you have any idea on average how many miles of road was paved before 2017?
I would have to look back at the budgets. I don't have that figure off the top of my head.
I believe it was the figure, whatever the liquid fuels figure was about 350,000, which approximately should have gotten us a mile, but at that time we did what I call a patchy.
Yeah, there was a lot of base repair
We
done.
never paved a continual mile of road in the township
Right.
until after 2017.
So before 2017, maybe about a mile or two per year was paved, perhaps,
On average, correct.
which that leaves us still behind. I mean, we're with 5 miles or 4.13 miles per year. We're still not repairing many of the roads because of before 2017 they were left to get old. So is that correct to state something like that?
That's, yeah, you can calculate that figure based on several different years. I mean,
So-
if we were only doing, I've only included in that calculation years from 2017 on,
Right.
which for 2017 was the first year we did the $1 million program.
So roads that are in my neighborhood, for example, that I think need to be repaired, and some residents might also think can't be repaired
Yeah.
because we have limited resources with which to, really catch up, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, to try to chase 72 miles of road, in a 3-year span is almost unattainable.
With regard to the 2012 bond, can you explain what that was about?
Yeah, that was the bond that was refinanced to support the payment of the complex, of this building, of the Public Works building. In 2017, the township refinanced with TD Bank at a rate of 2.51%, which is a loan. So it's a fixed rate loan that will carry through, I think it's 2034 is the end of the loan cycle. And what happens with the payments were lower in the beginning, and then they sort of bump up and they plateau at about $480 to $500 and some odd $1,000. And once they reach that point, they sort of sustain that payment, and then the last few 2 or 3 years, the payment actually drops back down.
But that loan was to pay for this building and the Public Works building, basically?
Yeah, improvements that were part of this complex.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Thanks.
Okay.
Dennis?
Yeah, I have one or two. Looked like done a real good job with the budget. Looks like you've kind of taken a conservative approach with it, that a lot of times the fund balances that you projected, that you budgeted a fund balance, we'd actually do better than that the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean,
with the
that's
actual.
right. And we take a moderate approach to the budgeting process. We'd rather estimate revenues low and higher than projected, and estimate expenditures high and end up lower than projected.
So 1,342,000, if I got it right, that we're projecting for the end of 2020. We might, if the track record stays
Very possible, yeah.
the same, we might end up better than that. The other question I had was with the Recreation Capital Fund, that $922,000 that's for Lower Dolington. Could you tell us, I mean, it's a big figure, could you tell us a little bit about what's behind that? I know it's connecting the trails and.
Well, the trail itself along Lower Dolington Road?
Mhm.
Sure, yeah. The proposal is it's approximately a mile long of an 8 to 10 foot wide paved trail, multi-use trail, similar to what's out on Rice Road. It would start at Frost Lane, and it would progress northeast to Upper Silver Lake Road, and would provide pedestrian crossings, connections, potentially several stop signs along the way to make it more of a safer route. That was the #1 targeted trail connection based on public feedback during the development of the 2016 comprehensive trail plan. The reason for that is it connects a highly and densely populated residential area with the schools, Roberts Ridge Park, all the way down into the business commons once you hit that intersection that connects to the Newtown Trail, which eventually connects to Silver Lake Park, as well as into Newtown Borough. So that's sort of an overview of that trail extension.
And we're looking to get some additional grant funding?
We have applied both to DCNR and to DCED for grants for next year for that. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing that infrastructure improvement without an award of a grant.
But they've been telling us we wrote a good grant, we just didn't get it.
Yeah, they were very favorable to the concept last year. We tweaked the application a little bit, and hopefully we end up on the favorable end this year.
So those are two major questions I have. The couple of typos that I'll ask you about later. That's it, yeah.
Just one or two. So we're trying to replace a certain amount of equipment each year to kind of get on a schedule with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Police cars, public.
Yeah, we try to do 3 police cars a year. A police vehicle is a little different than a regular passenger vehicle. I mean, they run and they idle and they're on all the time throughout the shift.
Right.
There's a lot of electronics in the vehicle itself that need to continuously run as part of the operation.
So are we still trying to catch up on replacing those vehicles? My understanding was they weren't replaced, a certain number wasn't replaced every year over the last several years.
There was a few years where it was less than ideal, so yes.
So you're trying to do 2 or 3 a year?
2, 3, 3,
police
4,
vehicles?
yeah.
Okay, so we're still catching up,
Mhm.
would that be fair to say? And as far as the police equipment, are these things that are yearly as well, the radios, the ballistic vests?
The radios are new. Chief's brought it to my attention, and he can speak more in detail about each of these, but he's brought to my attention that several of the radios need to be replaced. They're sort of aging and they're sort of falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
The ballistic vests, yes, they need to be replaced every few years.
Do we sort of rotate them?
Yeah, we rotate them, and as the technology develops, we want to keep them with the best equipment available. The same thing with the tasers.
Okay.
The warranties run out on the tasers, so we need to keep a continuous replacement schedule.
These are not frivolous things, these are important
Yeah.
pieces of equipment. Okay. I did have another question. So the real estate transfer tax has been down, less houses are selling, that sort of thing, that's what that means, right?
Correct.
So we're cutting into the general fund balance to make up for the shortfall, is that, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, and we continue, this is the second straight year that we were budgeting less towards that fund. As the revenues continue, as the revenues drop, we're trying to pick out a number that sort of represents an accurate figure. 2018 we had 925,000 budgeted. 2018 the actual at the year end was a little over 750. So you can see where it's sort of hard to pin down where that number could come in. As of year to date this year, we're at roughly 550,000 of the 800,000 we had budgeted.
So we may not make the full
Correct.
amount. Okay. I mean, and we're running out of land to develop at this point as well. Okay. And the only other thing that caught my attention was the healthcare increase. You're estimating 7%. And we were fortunate this year that we didn't have. In fact, we had an overage on that, as I recall.
It was a little over 6%, if I remember correctly. Or under.
Under by
6%,
about 6.
right?
Okay. So maybe we'll get lucky, but maybe we won't.
Possible.
Okay. I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know our millage is quite low. Do you have any idea when the last time taxes were raised in this town? Just out of curiosity. Anybody know?
Was that 95?
You probably know better than anybody.
Well, yeah, it was 2 years ago for the fire tax.
The fire tax,
Mhm.
so a couple years ago for the fire tax, but other than that,
But those were taxes dedicated to specific to the fire tax and to the ambulance flood.
right,
None of it is for the general fund.
But they came from general, right, we didn't increase the village at that point, correct? Am I right? Okay. I was just curious about that, it's been a while, so, that's all I have, thank you.
What I'd like to go back is to the road program that was established in 2017. Now, prior to that, prior boards, like I said, only did Apache jobs, never a continuous mile of road. Now, how many miles do we have in this town approximately?
Approximately 72, it's 71.3, according to the PennDOT map.
Well, let's round it up to 80. Let's say 80. We'll use that as a figure. So, at what was going on prior to this road program, it would have taken us 80 years just to pave a mile a year. But at a mile a year, it wasn't continual. So we could say it may have taken 100 years. Now, with 3.56 miles per year, which we're ahead of that number, we could pave this township in 22 and a half years, which I think the road program is a major improvement to this town.
Oh, I agree. I mean, that's,
Okay.
most of the concerns we get here are related to potholes and failing infrastructure, so.
And the way we pay it back is every 3 years with the liquid fuels fund of 300 and some odd thousand over a 3-year period, $900 to $1 million, we're paying back that loan, borrowing it again in 3 years, so we could pave more roads at that particular time.
Right.
So I think it's a fantastic program. It's always been a pet peeve that a pothole was fixed here, a pothole was fixed there, and they said, oh, we did a mile's worth of road, which was never really done. Getting back to personnel. The police department covers 22 square miles, which includes Wrightstown, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the square mileage of Newtown Township? Does anybody
A
know?
little over 12, I believe.
12?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much manpower in regards to public service, or public works rather, should a township of our size have? How many people in that department should there be?
Well, I think, given their scope of work, I would say that an additional 4 employees in that department would be sufficient.
Okay.
Which,
So the people of this township are getting their roads plowed in the wintertime, the parks are mowed, the roadways are taken care of if there is some patching up that needs to be done, with a substantially less labor force than any other township of our size.
if that's an accurate statement, yes.
Okay. Now, with the police department, you know the chief is here. Again, for a department, or for a size of coverage, 22 square miles, of which we do have a contract with Wrightstown Township, of which we supply them with police protection. Are we amply staffed in the police department? And if the chief wants to come up and say something, that's fine.
Is the public being protected, sir? Yes, we are. If we use additional resources to ensure proactive policing out there, absolutely. It's just a matter of personnel to what's in the best interest of the community at large. There's various studies you can get by CP or certain methods.
So without putting in the exact staffing numbers, I believe our policing efforts out in the township do an outstanding job for the calls for service. But I use additional resources, absolutely. Exact numbers can be done by various studies that may cost you anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 to do a study. We can calculate that number and provide you with that information for exact numbers of what we should be staffing the department with. But I do believe that my officers do an outstanding job, And could I use more? It would help me do more proactive policing, especially my community policing efforts that we're currently doing in the township.
Oh, and there's no doubt you guys do an excellent job. I think we're second to none with our accreditations and things like that. So, what I'm trying to get to is that for the size that we cover, again, the citizens of Newtown and Wrightstown are getting a pretty big bang for their buck. Now, we also have to take into consideration, we are collecting, what, $700,000 a year from Wrightstown Township?
Yeah.
That, with a properly staffed police department, I'll have to say, we'll continue to collect from Wrightstown Township.
Yes.
But if we were not, then we have the risk of losing that contract to a neighboring township, which would put us again in the hole of about $700,000 to $800,000, of which we can't afford. So I think looking to the future, we have to consider probably expanding our police department by a few officers, if that's correct.
That would be beneficial for me, sir, and Wrightstown Township and Newtown Township.
Okay.
I do think we were adding one this year, right?
Yes.
One officer.
additional police.
And how many would you add on your wish list?
For next year or for the next 5 years?
Well, let's talk about next year since that's where we are.
If you were giving me a blank check, I would ask for 4.
4, okay.
And I would space them out, 2 in the first half of the year, 2 in the second half of the year, so we could properly train and vet it through our systems.
Well, and you said something very wise in regards to a 4-year plan, 5-year plan, of which we recently, which was never done in the past, have applied for a grant of which we were approved to have a 5 to 10 year study of this township for their economic status. So, hopefully that will produce something that will tell us what direction this township should be going in. I think Mr. Lewis stated in the beginning that we may be headed on a downward trend, and if we don't find enough revenue to come into this township, we can't cut many expenses anymore. I mean, I don't think you're saying we need 4 police officers. I don't think the people of this township would like for us to cut 4 police officers, or firefighters, or public works departments. So, I mean, this is a Herculean task which this board has to put up with this year and going forward. So hopefully this study which is going to be done will put us on the right track and put us in the fiscally responsibility of which was never done in the past. I don't know if I have any other question pertaining. Oh, yeah, one last question. You said that the general fund at the end of the year will be approximately $1.3 million,
Correct.
but that's a conservative figure.
Yes.
In the past, when it was always calculated, we went beyond that general fund figure.
I'm sorry, went beyond?
In the past, we've had more than what was anticipated.
Yes, the year-end projected fund balances were higher.
So things like non-resident EIT or even resident EIT, transfer tax, we could actually have a windfall if it were to increase.
Correct.
So those are calculated on a conservative basis.
Yeah, and prior to the preliminary budget adoption, we'll take a look at that number again, and sort of analyze if our projections at this time are accurate. Typically, October is one of our better months for collections, so we're cautiously optimistic at this point.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? I will open it to the public. Any questions from the public?